The European Central Bank has essentially become a walking advertisement for why you should own some Bitcoin. France has come down hard on Facebook's Libra, but actually has some good news for French crypto traders. Crypto futures markets are heating up big time as Binance enters the race, but Coinbase will not be outdone in counterpunches with the announcement of an upcoming IEO platform. But let's start off today with the price of Bitcoin. Currently hanging out over $10,000, which means that you can essentially buy 1 million Satoshis for only a little more than $100 today. Screaming bargain if you ask me. And that's all I have to say about the price of Bitcoin today. But I did want to mention that while I have generally stayed away from being a daily TA channel, I'm actually going to be releasing a weekly educational video covering the major indicators and patterns that you can use to hopefully help inform and improve your trading game. Anyway, the top story of the day. The European Central Bank has made some very big announcements. The first is that they have cut deposit rates paid to commercial banks, bringing it down to a new all-time low of negative 0.5%, with Mario Draghi saying that it's all good and that this will not lead to an economic collapse having these negative rates for banks. And it was also announced that a new quantitative easing program is scheduled to begin in November with 20 billion euros a month printed and handed straight over to the commercial banks. So if you are a euro holder, you can now expect your money to be worth less and less every single month. And the banks basically get free money that they loan out to people just like you for insane rates. What a rigged game it is, isn't it? And as the ECB scrambles to try and prop up the Eurozone economy, Eurozone growth is falling down 50% to 0.2% in the second quarter of 2019, which is down from 0.4% in the first quarter of 2019. Major Eurozone economies like Italy and Germany are likely to be moving into recession. Many major commercial banks across the EU are in terrible shape. Deutsche Bank is the most famous and the worst off by far, but many others are in equally bad shape. They're just a lot smaller than Deutsche Bank. This news from the ECB will not do anything to stop the inevitable downfall of these fraudulent, sick banks. No, the taxpayers will probably foot the bill for it at some point, though. The general inability of central banks to actually manage economies, it's either criminal or totally negligent. Either way, the predictability of Bitcoin is so seductive compared to the tricks that these banks pull, and it also serves as a reminder that when Bitcoin is worth millions of dollars, it will be as much of a commentary on the failings of banks in fiat as it is on the strength of Bitcoin. All of this dysfunction has basically made the bankers the unwitting marketing department for Bitcoin. Because if you want to check out of this nonsensical, broken system where you have zero control over the corrupt and inept banking system, then go and buy Bitcoin. Your wealth doesn't have to continue to be a victim of that broken, outdated legacy system. In other news out of Europe, France plans to block the development of Facebook's Libra, and not just in France, but apparently France wants to push for an EU-wide block on Libra. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said that the country cannot permit the launch of Facebook's proposed cryptocurrency in Europe because the monetary sovereignty of states is at stake, and that this power should remain in the hands of the states and not of the private companies which answer to private interests. Fascinating. Libra proved itself to not be a threat to Bitcoin at all, but governments were very quick to identify the risk that Libra poses to their own monopoly on money and power. Very interesting times. And they like Bitcoin. Bruno Le Maire likes Bitcoin, by the way. And another story coming out of France today, which really shows that they are all about crypto, The good news for French crypto traders is that France will tax cryptocurrency gains only when those gains are converted into fiat currency. Yes, that is right. Crypto to crypto transactions will remain tax exempt in France. And value-added tax will only be assessed when a cryptocurrency asset is used to acquire an asset or a service. Not bad. I'll give you a not bad on that, France. Overall, French regulators have been really, I think, making a lot of positive moves to try and make France a more inviting place for crypto companies and crypto traders, so this is a positive. And not to be left out of the fun, Iran has announced that Iranian crypto miners will be tax exempt if they repatriate offshore earnings. Over in the USA, SEC Chair Jay Clayton has made a new statement on the mythical creature known as the Bitcoin ETF. Let me play a short clip for you, and then I'll give you my commentary on it.
Your realm here is a Bitcoin ETF. Are we any closer, or have the people involved in the Bitcoin businesses in any way come closer to satisfying your concerns?
The short answer is yes, but there's work left to be done. Those were not trivial questions. How do we know that we can custody and have a hold of these crypto assets? That's a key question. An even harder question, given that they trade on largely unregulated exchanges, is how can we be sure that those prices aren't subject to significant manipulation? Now, progress is being made, but people needed to answer those hard questions for us to be comfortable that this was the appropriate type of product.
Very curious, Mr. Clayton. I find those statements rather interesting because the custody problem has been solved 100 times over by the likes of Coinbase and Gemini and a host of other custodians which are US based and which are highly regulated. And as for the price of Bitcoin on unregulated exchanges, well, Coinbase and Gemini and Kraken, they're all regulated. But perhaps more importantly, the CME and soon to be backed are also very highly regulated markets, and that may actually be the crux of what is actually taking place here. I really think that many people have underplayed what Kelly Loeffler said the other day about Backed's Bitcoin futures. She wants to see them as the standard for Bitcoin price discovery. This is how Wall Street shows up to the party, guys. They are bringing their money and they are bringing their games. Be ready. They're coming. And the funny thing is, Clayton acts like they actually do their job over at the SEC in other circumstances, playing all tough with Bitcoin all the time. But when it comes to the banks, I don't know what's going on here. Just this week over in the UK, banks were fined $66 billion. And I know Clayton is not in the UK, but I bring this up to really underline where the real crime is happening. The bundle of crime that happened over in the UK this week included, but was not limited to, mortgage abuses, tax violations, insider trading, AML discrepancy, toxic securities, interest rate manipulation, and consumer protection violations, among other things. This time they were caught in the UK, but if you think that the same thing is not happening in the USA right now, under the careful watch of Jay Clayton, they need to go and get your head checked, because of course that's happening. This is the business model of commercial banks. It's the same everywhere they operate. They are criminal institutions. Regulators spend an awful lot of time running around trashing on Bitcoin, but then they just turn a blind eye to the unbelievable fraud happening today, right now, in the banking sector in their own countries. Only when the crime reaches such unbelievable proportions will the governments actually step in to get their cut. No one goes to jail, they just take some of the bank's money. Think of it like the mafia collecting protection money from the banks. Hey, I see you guys making a lot of money over here. Well, you can show a little bit of respect to the government, you know? Give us a little something back here, huh? It's my terrible Italian mafia accent. Anyway, you guys get the point. And that also serves as a cautionary tale about what we can expect from backed futures in the coming Bitcoin ETF. Expect all sorts of attempts at price fixing and fraud and all this stuff to be attempted, because that's what big banks do. Moving on, Bitcoin.com has begun discussions to list a Bitcoin Cash futures product on a CFTC-regulated exchange in the US. They have not said who would be listing such a futures product, but I'm going to go with the CME. Just think about it. BACT is about to come online and will be eating hundreds of millions of dollars of daily volume from the CME's Bitcoin contracts business. So why not drop some Bitcoin Cash contracts out there to try and serve a bit of business? Rumors have also abounded about Ethereum contracts after the CME brought in an Ethereum reference rate, and actually a story which shows just how worried the CME might be about losing a lot of business to BACT is this one which just came out. The CME seeks to double monthly Bitcoin futures trading limit to 10,000 Bitcoin. I see you, CME. I know you're worried. And on the topic of Bitcoin futures, Binance is launching a futures market today as well. I will actually be making a tutorial video here in the next couple of days to show you how to trade Bitcoin futures on Binance. But the innovation happening with crypto exchanges right now, it's crazy. They're able to innovate so fast without the heavy oversight of restrictive regulators. And as a reminder for any US users, you can still trade on KUCOIN for all of those low market cap coins, which you were able to find on Binance before. And that Binance US will launch soon, albeit with very limited pairs. But Binance US is going to have a tough fight as they are up against Coinbase, the local big boy, who just announced an upcoming IEO platform, which will be a unique offering in the US market. And thanks to Coinbase's strong relationships with US regulators, will give their proposed IEO platform a very competitive edge over any other rivals, including, of course, Binance. Yes, Coinbase is going to start doing IEOs within the next year. Coinbase has worked very closely with regulators and has acquired the relevant licenses in the background during the bear market. Coinbase has been out there getting different pieces of real estate to make all of this into a reality. In particular, there are 3 US regulated businesses which Coinbase picked up. One of them was Keystone Capital, which is registered with FINRA and has a license to operate as an alternative trading system. Coinbase IEOs, those are going to be super hot. Watch out for that. Never a dull day in crypto, is there, guys? Anyway, I would love to know your thoughts on any of these stories covered here today down below in the comments section. And as always, you guys are totally awesome. So thank you so much for coming out here and watching today's video. As always, I really appreciate the time you take out of your day to come and listen to me talk about cryptocurrencies and everything going on in the world. So thank you guys so much. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.